Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And I've been a clinical psychologist licensed to practice in the state of California since 1974. We have the very good fortune of having Tracy here with us and Michael. We're going to be talking about the way of honor, the struggles, and the triumphs. Welcome, Tracy. Very good to have you here, really. Michael, good to see you, brother. Yeah, very good to see you. So the way of honor, now I'm going to say a little bit about honor, then we'll talk about some examples of my life and some other people's lives, and we're going to go around and talk. It's going to be kind of guided discussions, and then it's going to be like open mic. And we hope that everybody will participate, anything, if you feel comfortable, sharing what the path has been like for you, your struggles and your triumphs. So the way of honor is a life without regret. It's a way of having a way of minimizing bad consequences and bad karma. It doesn't mean that we'll always be at peace. It doesn't mean we don't struggle, and we will continue to suffer in life. The three basic truths: we will suffer in life a lot, but the good news is we can deal honorably with that suffering. And third, we're going to know much joy and happiness in our lives. That's all. The three basic truths of life. So we're defining honor. I'm defining honor as loyalty to your highest constructive values as enshrined in the four commandments of honor, while striving to cause no harm physically and emotionally. So then we go into the four commandments of honor, which really is commanding the honor that's within us to arise into consciousness in terms of thought, word, and action. So the four commandments of honor are: I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship, and either one of two. I seek always to serve my highest values, or if you believe in God as I do, God, your wish is my only wish. Then we have what I call the bridge between honor and reality, which is, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So people then take a pledge to repeat this 3 times a day, because the repetition is preparation for application, and the bridge is, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? Then for those who want to go on to more elite levels, they become devotees of honor, which involves taking a pledge to repeat the supremacy of honor code at least once a day. Honor before pride, honor before anger, honor before sex, honor before money, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. So that's the way of honor. If a pledge, people take that. We have over 1,200 people who have taken the pledge. So what I'm going to do is I'll share with you, I'm going to share with you a struggle I've had recently. I was in a group. One of the individuals, who I love this guy, but he's always, anything I say, he finds some reason to negate it. In fact, what he does is, he distorts what I say, and then he argues against his distortion. It's very annoying when he's doing that, really annoying. And it's not because he has anything against me personally, it's just what he does. He'll take what I say, reframe it, and the reframing is ridiculous. I'd be an absolute idiot to have said what he was saying. So I often have to say, I didn't say that. But now I'm in a position of having to defend myself. Now, defending ourselves is not really part of the way, in that way I do it. My tone of voice, in fact, it happened in the group. My voice got a certain way. Especially what I said was, I feel very stopped by this group in terms of bringing new ideas forward. What he didn't know is I had him in my mind as a guy that stops me a lot. And then he's so articulate and brilliant that when he reframes it in a way that sounds ridiculous, I sound like an idiot that he did. So it's really humiliating, embarrassing, and it's not personal. It's just what he does. So that's how okay. So there's a situation. I feel embarrassed. I feel humiliated. I feel misunderstood. I feel discounted and disrespected. All right, Dr. Nerenberg is not above those feelings. Nobody's above getting the feelings that come into you. Boom, because the thoughts and feelings that pop into your mind do not define who you are. That's based on your genetic experience, upbringing, societal norms. So no one's immune to that popping up. Well, without a reflection, we have no responsibility for those feelings coming up. just boom, 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 in the thoughts that I had. We're all responsible for how we deal with it and how we balance it. Right? And we balance it always with, as a disciple of honor, as a devotee of honor, to balance it with honorable thoughts or a positive thought. So I will say this. Now, I'm very well versed in this, and yet I slipped. I mean, the way I said, hey, I feel very stopped by this group, my tone of voice was not good. It was not good. See, if it had been a text exchange and someone said it in a text, I have time to think about it, get past my reaction, and the text I send will be totally honorable. My tone of voice, my facial expression, it reflected a vulnerability and probably came across as hostile. Okay, so that's the story. That's the struggle. Okay, now we go from there. So now, a couple of days goes by. Usually I'm thinking about the situation. I go, gee, he's always doing that. I have those thoughts, and I go, I wish you well. Balance it, I wish you well. But in the meantime, some thoughts come in, and I sent him a text about how's he doing, this and that. Don't hear from him. So I think, uh-oh. So now in my mind, okay, this is now personal. He's really got a problem with me that I said that. This is the case. I know you have to identify with this. You start building a case that this is what's going on. Because he got pretty harsh. As a matter of fact, when I said that this group stops me, he said, that's ludicrous. After he reframed, he said, that's totally ludicrous. It was very, very stern face, like really. So, all right. Okay, I know you can identify. I'm sure you haven't been in this exact situation, but I know you feel discounted, disrespected, humiliated, embarrassed. I know you've had experiences like that. I know you've reacted. Boom, it's just an automatic reaction and defense. So I reached out to him. How are you, my brother? He's not reaching out very lovingly. He doesn't respond. I go, oh, man. This has now left the group, and now it's personal towards me now. And I go, oh, lost a friend. So then I go, okay. Now, I go, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? I'm asking. I felt reaching out that way I thought was very honorable, but that didn't solve it. He didn't even respond. So I said, I take full responsibility. Here's the two principles. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. But I said, well, I did co-create that. How did I co-create it? My tone of voice. Hey, this group stops me. And I was putting it on the group. So my tone of voice, the way I said it, I co-created it. And he reacted very vehemently. Oh, that's ludicrous. So I saw I co-created it. So then I sent him a loving text. Loving my brother, hope all is well. And when I said, firstly, I want to apologize and ask your forgiveness because I saw that it caused a disturbance in you. Now, get what this is about. As the path of honor calls for taking responsibility, and you know full well the other person's not going to do it. Because other people, unless they're deeply trained in this way, want to be right. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to say, oh, I messed up. They won't do it. Because they will put their pride first. They won't even look at themselves. So we're doing it. And I say, I saw that you felt offended by it. I want to apologize and ask your forgiveness. And when I really think about it, it's not the group that stops me. It's really me that's creating the problem. Because if I presented it more clearly, more patiently, the ideas could progress in the group. So I really saw how I could take responsibility for it. Now, okay, so that's the struggle. So the struggle, I told you the struggle, but now I show you how I dealt with it honorably. It can be tough because the other person's not going to step in there and take. He was very gracious in his response, by the way. He says, I didn't see anything to forgive. Sometimes we disagree. We went on from there. Then a few days later, in a text thing I sent, he did it again. He tried to totally reframe what I did, totally dismissed it again. But this time other people said, no, that's not what he's saying. It's very appropriate what he's saying. So that took care of having to go through. That's what he does. He reframes things. But fortunately, it wasn't face-to-face because I can deal with it on the text. I expounded on the text without getting defensive, without making angry faces, without feeling super vulnerable. So the point I'm making is this path, I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. That means apologizing, asking for forgiveness, and seeing how you did it and laying it all out there. And very few, maybe 1 in a million, if they're not been trained in this, won't do it. So there you go. Sometimes I can really eat at you. The other principle that comes in there is honor before pride. I've got the same thing everybody else has. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be the guy that messed up. But I'm so trained in the honor way that honestly, I don't care about my pride at all. Maybe momentarily I do. I don't care about my pride. I do care about honor. So I can get past it pretty quickly, but not necessarily immediately. All right. So there you have, I won't go into other cases, but I just want to use that as a case to open up your struggles, or comments, if you have any comments you want to make, and then we'll open it up to other people's, your struggles and your triumphs. I gave you my struggles and my triumphs. I want to tell you this. I'm very at peace with the whole thing. I'm very at peace. Now, I've had other situations when I've taken responsibility and apologized, and the other person didn't, and it kind of stayed with me a long time. The person didn't meet me halfway, but you can't expect it because they're not really well disciplined into this. Tracy, have any comments you want to make about what I just shared?
Well, thank you. I was thinking about what you said with the whole struggles when you said no one is above their feelings. So we all have that. It doesn't matter how confident we are or how much we think we may be right or anything like that. If someone, which is you, if you're allowing your feelings to be hurt or aggravated in some way, no one is above their feelings. We're all going to feel that way, and that can push more on our struggle or what we're trying to triumph over.
Very good point. That's what I was saying. The two types of thoughts: the thoughts and feelings that pop into our mind but don't define who we are, and then the thoughts we balance it with. The thoughts that we balance it with, which are honorable thoughts, constructive thoughts, positive thoughts. So, in a situation, in a group, boom, that happened. It was very humiliating. It was worse because it wasn't a group. It was one-to-one. It would have been, a little different. But in the group, it's more of a loss of face there, too. So, very good point. Michael, anything you want to say about
it? You're speaking of pride. But you regained your pride because your honor is your pride.
Totally.
It is my pride. It is my most purest of pride. And pride is really, it was once considered 7 deadly sins. Pride is not a good thing. It really isn't. But pride, there's pride in your honor. So you walked away from this looking honorable anyway. And proud, and you were in pride.
Well, listen, I'm so proud that I'm sharing it now with a lot of good feeling about it. Yeah. A lot, yeah. Does anybody else have any comment? Jay, you have any comment you want to make about what I've said so far?
Similar situations where, I don't feel that, with putting honor before pride, I don't need to be right all the time. I don't need to be the smartest guy in the room, the smartest person in the room. I just need to accept what everyone's trying to say and not try to understand what people are trying to say and just accept that and go on. Like I said, it's not a pride issue. It's an honor issue.
Well, the fact that you frame it that way and deal with it that way, you have a lot of wisdom.
Well, thank you.
That reflects it. But anybody else have anything? Thanks. Anybody else have anything you want to say? Okay. So now, Tracy, how was it going? You're a disciple of honor. I believe you're a devotee of honor. You're a devotee and a disciple of honor. I'm sure you've had your struggles at times with it. Whatever you feel comfortable in sharing, please do.
As far as experience, or
in having to apply the way of honor where there was a struggle. I gave myself an example where there was a struggle.
I can't think about any one struggle, but I would probably have to say if someone is being kind of passive aggressive or being kind of low-key aggressive in what they're saying, or a smart aleck with the response, and it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm not gonna respond to their fire that they're trying to shoot me with. I'll just keep it cool with water and keep the conversation, flowing positively. And that is, me going through that, like, okay, well, I'm going to wish you well. In my head, I'm going to wish you well. And then I'm going to come at you with something not harsh, just something that's going to be honorable to me and to still have respect. Because even though you may be disrespecting me or your response was disrespectful, I'm not going to respond to your response. What is that? I will only react to your vulnerability. I will not react to your negativity. Yes.
Good.
So that's.
See how you really apply these things in your daily life.
Yes.
Now, I should also mention there are 25 laws of honor. Two of them, one is I refuse to react to your negativity. I'll only respond to your vulnerability. In other words, I refuse to react to my negativity. I'll only respond to my vulnerability. These are very important. Actually, I modified. That was the original statement. I found I couldn't do it. I really couldn't totally do that. So I found what I could do, so I changed it. God willing, I'll respond more to your vulnerability than to your negativity. And God willing, I'll respond more to my vulnerability than my negativity. So if I could just react more to the vulnerability, that's a triumph. I was not able to not react to the negativity. I failed at it for years and years and years. Some part of me would really react strongly. But I have gotten to where I can respond to the vulnerability. But it doesn't mean I don't have some negative reaction going about that negativity. So for years I worked with it and found out, well, okay, I can't do this, but I can do the other. And that's why I changed it. I changed those two laws. So Tracy brought up during a break we just had. And so Tracy, why don't you just elaborate on you brought that? A very good point.
Yes, it's worked for me because when someone is being negative, and when someone is being vulnerable and emotional. And just like for yourself, when you feel negativity, and when your emotions are carrying you. So I will not react to someone else's negativity. I only respond to their vulnerability. And I will not react to my own negativity, but I will respond to my own vulnerability.
Now, beneath all negativity, anger, aloofness, is always vulnerability. A person feels hurt, neglected, abandoned, humiliated, disrespected, overwhelmed, infuriated, jealous. They may not be acknowledging that because people, as a matter of pride, will cover that up. But that's what it's covering. And so the key is to be able to respond to that vulnerability. And it may not even be clear what it is. Sometimes you'll know what it is, and a lot of times you won't, but you can be sure it's there. You can be sure it's there. So we have the 25 laws of honor. And just so you know, it's a breathing, organic, growing system. I was thinking of adding another law, which is it's good to laugh at myself. It's very good to laugh at myself because I tend to be a pretty serious guy, and I think I can take myself too seriously sometimes, and I think that can apply to many of us. And so it's very good to be able to laugh at myself. And I've been since I came up with that Sunday, I've actually been doing some more of that, and I like it. I like it. I have seen my ego in the past. I would think it was really funny when I'd see it at a good moment. And sometimes I've seen other people's ego, and I just find I was amused by that. But that would be rare. Mostly, I get caught up in a serious way what's going on. So it's very good to laugh at myself. In fact, some actress said, you know you're reaching maturity when you have your first good laugh at yourself. I wish I had said that, but it was somebody else. So I'm thinking of adding that into the system. You have something you want to say?
Yes, I wanted to say something that went along with the struggles and triumphs. When we say, God, your wish is my only wish, or I choose honor above all else. Whatever situation happens, the triumph or the struggle, it could never happen any other way. It had to happen that way. It had to happen that way for us to learn and to take it in. So it's, God, your wish is my only wish, because you couldn't have had it any other way.
Now, that brings me to one of my private thoughts that I've been using. So I look at all the trials and tribulations as a gift from God to bring me closer to Him. The only thing I know in Spanish is this, and most people don't know what I'm saying because my Spanish is really bad. Dios te ahorca, pero no te mata. God chokes you, but not to kill you. That's it. So the thought I'm using is this. God, I'm extremely grateful for the trials and tribulations you send me that bring me closer to you. So that's the new one. It's not in the system. It's just my own private stock, but you're welcome to use it. I do that at least 3 times a day. God, I'm extremely grateful for the trials and tribulations you send me that bring me closer to you. So, because it's choking me, but not to kill me, to bring me closer. So, I believe that, but it's not for everybody. If you want to use it, and I don't call it one. I don't know how I'm going to fit it into the system. It might be a derivative of what I call the mother commandment, which is, God, your wish is my only wish. There's a number of derivatives. I think I'll put this as a derivative of that one. What are your thoughts on that, Michael?
The humility that you put on yourself. Yeah. It's important to keep some balance. I mean, if you're a strong personality, and I mean, we're all a little bit arrogant. Some of us deserve it more than others. But, so, but, humility, it's important to maintain some balance in your life, and in all aspects, throughout the whole commandments, there's a balance in there. It's important to maintain balance. If you're that, especially as someone in your position, it's important that you maintain balance in order to have clear judgment.
That's extremely important to laugh at myself.
Of course, by all means. Yeah, of course. I mean,
that was lacking.
And it shouldn't be too hard for us either, because all wise men were once fools. So we learn as we go along.
Yeah. So that part was the recent addition. So as I say, the way of honor is a growing system, a breathing, organic system. It just keep evolving. Natural, it's a very natural system. Jay, is there anything else you want to add or say?
Yes, like what Trace mentioned earlier. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and it happens the way it does because that's the way it's supposed to happen. And I've learned to accept that and just not let anyone control my anger. So whatever happens, and we just have to deal with it honorably and deal with it the best way that we possibly can.
One of the laws of honor is I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever. And I use that as one part of the cure for road rage. Very good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Jay. Anybody else have anything you want to add or say?
Nerenberg, this is Olga. My thinking is when I get into a situation, I always think to myself, it's like I will remove myself from this environment and I refuse to entertain this conversation. And I just move on. It's like I'm not going to let, like you guys said, I'm not going to let them control me, and I'm just going to remove myself and not entertain in this toxic environment, and I just move on.
And you're able to do that and leave it without any residue of feelings?
No, because I got to let it go. If I think that, then it's like, you know what, you don't mean anything to me. So I'm not going to let you get to me. So I remove myself from this toxic environment and I just move on.
Well, yeah.
Once I leave that, then I'm done.
Well, I've heard that approach, and I think for some people that really does work. Leave the toxic environment. You don't mean that much to me. I'm going on. I know some people are very close to that approach things that way, and that's if it reduces the toxicity, it reduces the negativity. That's working for you. Thanks, Olga. What's that?
So I have a question regarding that, because I'm thinking it's great, to deal with situation, maybe take yourself away and eliminate, and like Olga said, I guess, not entertain that. But what happens if that situation repeats itself?
Yeah, very good. What happens if the situation repeats itself? Right. I would say, it's toxic, and then applying the commandments of.
You're not going to go back to that. You're done with that situation.
Okay.
You're a family member. What if it's a situation? I personally believe that situations also happen for a reason, and it's not for us to run away from it, but maybe to actually see how do we not entertain that, but opposite, maybe we should entertain that and question, why is this happening to me?
Well, that's a good question that only you can answer. That's up to you whether you want this person in your life or not. If you choose to remove yourself from the situation, that's on you. But that's something you have to think about prior to it. I mean, this is going to come up if you have an issue with a family member and it's never ending. Then you need to decide, is it worth it or not?
Well, hang on one second. Let me interject a thought here. I know one person. She's made a decision that if you cross the line and you're upsetting her, she's going to kick you out of her life, and she's pretty well limited. She's pretty well limited. Almost everybody. I mean, it just cuts down. But I'm not saying that's not working for her. I would say that way of dealing with it, that seems to work for some people, and there are situations where sometimes it's difficult. I know people, hundreds, maybe 1,000, who are in toxic situations on the job, and they feel like they can't escape it. They're making their livelihood, whatever, and eventually they become disabled from it. They say, I got to get time out. But the person may have put up for years a toxic supervisor, so always picking on them, and they couldn't remove themselves. So there are times when you can. You say, I don't want to go back in that situation. Let me go. So does that situation exist in terms of having to do it? Now, let me tell you, there's one situation that I removed myself from where I had to do it. And it wasn't around certain people. I find in most groups, it tends to go to the lowest common denominator. So it's a lot of chit-chat. I can't handle too much chit-chat. So I found most groups, I'll steer clear of it, because if it's going to go there, and the research I did, people within 5 or 10 minutes get agitated, but people feel no way out. There's a group that goes chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. A little bit chit-chat's great. Chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. It goes on, half hour, an hour, and, it goes on. That's really hard on me. I personally have a tough time. So the way I just don't put myself in those situations. I don't go to parties. That's what I have to do. So I understand that. But again, it's not a specific person or a specific group, but I will avoid those situations because I know I'm going to get to feel really isolated, lonely, and cut off, and because I can't entertain at that level. I'm a deep guy. I like to go deep. I like to go up and down. I don't want to feel trapped in just one superficial level. Superficial is okay. Nothing wrong with it. I just don't want to be stuck there. Michael, you have something you want to say?
You realize that's how we met, okay? Because we met together as parents with our kids at a function about our kids, and that's how we met, because you were standing there by herself, and I was standing there by myself, and I was about fed up with all that chit chat, shop talk. And I saw you were too, and I think that's how we kind of have so much in common. That was our meeting ground there, but.
I want to give it to Tracy a second. And again, it wasn't like I felt superior or looked down on the people or judged them. I just know I can't handle it. So that coping mechanism of absenting ourselves, there's a time when we can't, or really it's better to stay in there and work it through. No doubt about it. But there's a situation where I've done it without offending anybody. Or if I'm in a group and it's going on, I'll find a polite way to excuse myself and just go without saying anything. But that's because I can't handle it. I mean, I probably, if I was more spiritual, greater, I'd be able to just maybe transcend it and be okay. But that's on me. I know my limitations. Tracy.
I just wanted to comment on what the two women were saying about taking themselves out of the situation. What works for me, which I do understand what they're saying, but what works for me is sometimes you just need to regroup your head. Just like you said, if it was a text message, you could have had a moment to think about it, think about an honorable response, and then, get that out there. But sometimes when you feel like you're about to implode, it's almost like, oh, I will be right back. Excuse myself to the restroom, or I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the mailbox. Just literally take a walk down the street and get some air and do some breath work. Literally deep breaths, take a breath, maybe say a prayer, but really regroup your mind. And that also reminds me of when I was growing up and my mom was disciplining my brother and I. She saw someone who said, if you don't lose control, if you feel like, you don't have control with your kids, and you're disciplining them and something happened, you can explain whatever they did wrong, but you could spank them on the butt 3 times and that's it. And that is what it is. But sometimes my mom felt like she needed to regroup herself before she even dealt with us, or else it would be, and enraged or whatever a mother may be feeling, with her kids and whatever stress. So that's what I want.
Well, your mom was very wise and showing that kind of restraint and that discipline. And when you mentioned going outside, a lot of times getting fresh air on the outside really does help. You see the trees, the sky, it really does help come out of that contracted, constricted way. That's a good way. Michael,
I've always told my students, to pride themselves not on winning the confrontation physically. I always try to make them feel proud about themselves winning the confrontation with their mind. Because physically, sure, you can fight the guy and manipulate his body and control him, to the point where you win the confrontation, altercation. But gee, imagine if you can control his mind as well as your own. That's a true battle in my head, because it's self-control. How many times, there are only so many scenarios and only a certain amount of personalities that you're going to run into on this earth. How many times are you going to walk away from that personality? How many times are you going to walk away from that confrontation? How many times are you going to do this? Because practice becomes a habit. You're turning that into a habit. Are you going to create a habit that every time you run into this one specific scenario, you're going to run away from it? Running away from it does nothing, because you still take yourself with you. And every time you're faced with that scenario, you will run away from it. That means you lost control.
well, Michael is a black belt martial artist. He's an instructor. He's been doing this. He's actually a master, Michael, yeah. So he has his students and he teaches them this. And yeah, the self-control in terms of being able to control ourselves, that will have some impact, not a direct control, but indirectly help modify the situation. Well, it's been a wonderful privilege to be able to share this and hear Michael's thoughts and Tracy's thoughts and everybody else's thoughts, Olga and Jay and And Diana, hearing everybody's thoughts has been wonderful. It's basically we're dealing with the ways of honor, the struggles, and the triumphs. And we've seen some of the struggles. People have been very open about some ways they deal with things, and some of it's very unique ways. Some people have their own way of dealing with it. Others can't do it that well. That way they do it another way. I shared my struggle in terms of how I dealt with it. Doesn't mean that's going to be something you want to do it that way. But the key is to always look for doing it in an honorable way. Does anybody have any concluding questions or remarks before we end? Well, it's been a great pleasure to be with you. Privilege, actually. This was the way of honor, the struggles and the triumphs. We've had the good fortune of having Michael and Tracy here. Bye for now.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.